Hey folks, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley, and as I'm driving home this evening, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about self-defense cases. I'll probably end up making a video using the statute and some case law, but for right now I just want to talk in generalities. The reason I wanted to make this video is I did a video several years ago when a client had called in and it asked some questions in regards to using a pocket knife. And they said, hey, can I use a pocket knife for self-defense? And I think a lot of people, I don't know, maybe I just didn't articulate as well as I could have, because the point of the video was, of course you can use a pocket knife for self-defense. However, if you pull out a pocket knife and you kill somebody with it, you're probably going to get charged, and you'll have your day in court to determine whether or not self-defense was a viable defense. If you don't stab the person, let's say you just take it, pull it out and say, get away from me or I'll stab you. Well, guess what? You'll probably be charged in Florida for aggravated assault with a weapon. Okay, it's a third-degree felony. Are you going to have to hire a defense attorney? Yes. Will you be able to make a self-defense claim? A stand your ground motion? Yeah, you can do all of those things. That's your day in court. The point is when you pull out any weapon, when you carry any weapon on you, although you have a right to use it in defending yourself, what generally happens is the police arrest you. So I'm going to give you a bunch of great examples of cases that I had, just so you have an idea what the heck I'm talking about. Years ago, I had a gentleman who received a phone call. I believe one of his family members, his son, his daughter, I think it was a son, nephew, something like that, was at school and got into a fight with another young man. And we're talking like, I don't know, 7th, 8th grade. Well, the father of the other child called the house and said, I'm going to come to your house and beat you up the way your son, beat up, or your nephew beat up my kid. And my client's thinking like, what the hell? Like, are you kidding? Hey man, don't come to my house. I don't even know what happened. I'll talk to my son. Do not come to my house. I'm coming to your house and I'm gonna beat the living crap out of you. Okay. My client says, don't come here. The guy hangs up. What happens? 10 minutes later, my client's sitting in his garage. He's, doing some work in his garage. And this crazy guy pulls up in front of his house, tires screeching, gets out of the car, starts walking up the driveway. Says, I'm going to effing beat the living crap out of you. My client is in his garage. Yes, there's something called the Castle Doctrine. You're allowed to protect yourself in your own home. Don't even need to get to stand your ground. Stand your ground wasn't out then. So my client grabbed into his vehicle, grabbed his firearm. The guy kept coming. My client lifted his weapon and aimed it towards the person and said, I'm not going to warn you again. I'm going to shoot you if you come any further and if you enter into my garage. The guy got the point, put his hands up, walked away, called the police. What do you think happened, folks? Well, I'm going to tell you what happened. My client was arrested, and at that time there was a 3-year minimum mandatory, aggravated assault with a firearm. There's no longer a 3-year minimum mandatory, but people are still getting charged, yes, in defending themselves. I had another client who had a incident with another vehicle on the road. When I say incident, honk honk, F-U, middle finger, right? He gets to the traffic light and this guy is in front of him. The guy gets out of his car, comes over to him, and hits the glass. It tries to get into the vehicle. My client reaches in, grabs his briefcase, he's a businessman, pulls out a firearm. The other guy backs up. Smart move, right? Not to get shot. What happens? My client gets charged with aggravated assault with a firearm. Okay. Another case. My client is walking through the back of a parking lot where there's like a bunch of stores, like a Kmart or Sears, not a Sears, but like a Kmart, Walmart, something like that. And there's some other stores. And he's cutting through the back of the location. Now, he's not on the curtilage close to the building. He's not going through anything. He's cutting through. One of the store owners comes over and has words with him. Hey man, what the hell? Sort of accusing him of, like, hey man, what are you doing here? Walking through the parking lot on my way home. What's it to you, buddy? Well, it's something to me because it's my business, blah, 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 blah. They get into an argument. My client's, 140 pounds. The business owner is 250 pounds, and he's roided out. Literally, like the veins, the swelling from the water weight, the whole puffy look. He tells my client, he gets out of his pickup truck, and he tells my client, hey, you punk, you want to get snazzy with me? I'll beat the hell out of you. Gets out of his car, comes at him. My client pulls a pocket knife, less than 3.5 inches. What happens, folks? He gets arrested for aggravated assault with a weapon. So, those are 3 quick examples right off the cuff of cases that I've had. So, do I come free? No, I'm not free. Is any other defense attorney free? No. Even a public defender charges a $50 application fee, and I think he garnishes, he gets a judgment against you for, $800 or whatever. So when you have the money to pay, you actually do pay something. So, sure, you can carry a weapon. By all means, you have a Second Amendment right. Big firearms guy, believe in it. Have your concealed... Oh, the 2 guys that I mentioned, by the way, with the firearms, they both had concealed weapons permits, right? Both no criminal history. Both were arrested. Both were facing a 3-year minimum mandatory on those cases. And I've had a dozen others since where the 3-year minimum mandatory didn't take place because the statutes now changed. The point is, if you brandish a weapon, if you pick up a hammer, if you have a tire iron, if you have a screwdriver, if you have a knife, if you have a razor blade, if you have... Oh, I've had a client who had... I didn't even know what it was at the time. It looked like a credit card. But it was a razor blade, like because you basically take it out of your wallet and you cut a box with it. He used it for work. He worked in shipping and receiving. Guess what? He got stopped. They searched him. They said that they smelled weed or whatever. They searched him. They found that. What did they charge him? Carrying a concealed weapon. Did I fight and win? Yes, but it doesn't matter, folks. I mean, if you don't care about spending the night in jail, bonding out, hiring an attorney, by all means, carry all the weapons that you possibly can. Quick note, if you're going to carry a firearm, believe it or not, it's better to be brandishing the firearm, meaning showing it, not concealing it. You know why? Because if you don't conceal a weapon and you're just walking down the street with, an Uzi or your Glock 9 or your Remington or whatever, your shotgun, if you're just carrying it, it's a misdemeanor. But guess what? If you're concealing it, if you have it hidden, it's a 3rd-degree felony. Go figure. But anyway, carry your weapons. You can have a self-defense claim, and I will talk about self-defense. I handle a lot of self-defense cases. I handle a lot of firearm self-defense cases. I handle discharging a firearm, stand your ground motions, all of that. I just want people to know, and I'm not saying, it just made me laugh when I looked at some of the comments on my video. Well, what do you do if you're handicapped and you're quadriplegic? Well, look, if you're quadriplegic, I really hope that no one is bothering you. But if they are bothering you and you have a weapon, I mean, you might have some difficulty and they may take it away from you, but by all means, you have the right to bear arms. If you need to pull it out to defend yourself, you do. If you're in a wheelchair, if you have something, but keep in mind those limitations, right, are limitations. So it can be dangerous. That's all I'm saying. If you're a little person, if you're a smaller female, have a weapon. That's okay. Get your concealed weapons permit, right? Have your pepper spray, have your stun gun, right? Okay. But just know that when you pull it out, more likely than not, that means the police more often than not are going to arrest you. That was the point of my video that I made 7 years ago. So I hope that makes a little sense. My next video, I am going to talk about your Second Amendment. I'm going to talk about firearms. I'm going to go into the statute, and then I'm going to do a video on stand your ground. I've had some really good, very successful stand your ground motion cases, and I want to share the law with people who are carrying a firearm, who have a concealed weapons permit, because I think it's important, and I don't know that it's talked about enough in everyday YouTube. So I'm going to share that video with you next. I'm attorney Roger B. Foley. Thanks for listening.